Welcome back, everybody. I'm Glenn McGowan, and yes, the thumbnail is true. I'm selling one of my cars. Any guesses? Okay, well, I'm not going to tell you right away. I'm going to make you sit through this whole video before I tell you. I don't normally sell any of my cars. I usually hold on to everything, but I had to make a decision, and one of them is going. So I had an idea to make a video about tips on selling your used car or like your collection car or whatever. A lot of people are intimidated because they feel like their car has too many things wrong with it, or they want to go trade it in. They're not going to give them much, and they leave a lot of money on the table, and they're like, I'll give you 500 bucks, and the thing's worth $8,000. So I made a list of all the things that you should do to give you confidence enough to sell your car as it is right now. You want to fix it up just a little bit, but not too much where you're spending so much money that you're not getting that money back out when you sell it. So let's get into it.
This week's video is brought to you by LCOBMW. Shop our site for Corvette performance parts, merchandise, and much more. See the link in the description or visit LCOBMW.
Okay, so first things first is to evaluate your vehicle. So exterior of the car, driving condition of the car, interior of the car, make a list of everything wrong with it, and then make a list of everything that you had recently done to it. Any kind of service or any parts that were just replaced, any kind of service history, just kind of loosely document all that stuff down. And that'll also help you when you're writing your description for the listing of the vehicle when you put it up online. So if there's anything big going on, you want to obviously either address it or be upfront with the person possibly buying the car. So this kind of list of getting a general idea what condition your car is really helpful. Okay, number two is be realistic about the repairs. Now, if it's something you could spend a little bit of money on to make a big difference, you should do it. But if you're selling like a 25-year-old kind of average run-of-the-mill driver, you can't get crazy because you're going to put so much money into fixing it that you're not going to get a lot of profit out of the car. So you have to kind of pick and choose what works best for you. So you kind of have to weigh your options. Like, is it worth spending $1,000 to get an extra 100? Maybe not. But for me, I'm going to give you an example for the car that I'm going to sell. The brake rotors pulse when you hit the brake. So that is one of those things where it's not terrible, but when you hit the brakes, the wheel goes like this, and that may be somewhat of a deal breaker to somebody who doesn't know. They'll be like, something's wrong with the front end of this car. So for a little bit of money, I bought a set of rotors and pads, and I'm going to throw that on there, and that'll make a big difference. But I'm not going to get crazy. So when you have an older car, there's going to be a lot of imperfections. There's going to be paint chips and all that kind of stuff. So you really have to look at the value of the car and then how much money you want to put into it to get that money out of it. Now, if this is the case for like a very rare, high-end, expensive car, and it's almost perfect, and you want to put a couple grand in to make another 10 grand, that would make sense. But it all depends on what type of car that you have. Now, like I said, if it's just kind of an average, run-of-the-mill daily driver, then you may not want to get crazy. So you kind of have to figure out the value of the car and then how much you want to actually put into it to help with the sale. All right, number three is be honest. So talking about the repairs and all that kind of stuff, all the imperfections and your list, you want to be very transparent when it comes to communicating this information to the buyer, meaning you don't want to hide things that you know that are there just to get the sale. I mean, it's very like used car salesman type of mentality. Years ago, before I started my parts business and stuff like that, I would buy and kind of flip cars. So I have a lot of experience doing that. And there was a couple of times early on where there were certain things I was kind of putting a Band-Aid over, kind of came back and bite you in the butt a little bit, or you have to give money back to help them out. So you really want to be honest about all of that. Be like, okay, this doesn't work, this leaks, this does that, and just show the person that, these are all the things that you know of. Obviously, with a used car, it's going to have problems. But the more honest you can be with the buyer makes them more confident, showing that you're not just trying to be like that used car salesman trying to push it off to him like it's all perfect, and when he gets it back, he's pissed because a wheel fell off while he was driving or something like that. So definitely be honest about your car, and that to me is honesty is always the best policy when it comes to anything. So it'll really help you out when you go to sell your car. All right, number four is take a lot of pictures. So you basically want to get the full exterior of the vehicle, the full interior of the vehicle, the engine, and then I usually do like all the little defects. Now, not that I sell cars all the time, but when I do parts for my parts business, you do the general pictures, and then you kind of get up on top of all the little things, chips, dents, anything that really kind of stands out that you feel like somebody will see a really good picture and they get to your house or wherever and they're like, oh my God, the passenger door is caved in because you only took a driver's side picture. So try to take all the pictures that you can. Also, what's really popular too is just doing videos of it. Like do your pictures and then do like an exterior video walk around, a cold start of the engine running, stuff like that, of the gauges, of the mileage, any lights that are on, and then the same thing with the interior, you know what I mean? Showing that like the seats work and all that kind of stuff like that. So you can make several videos of everything functioning in the car, and that way when someone comes and looks at it, they have a better idea. Because when you look at a car to buy, and I do this all the time, and there's two pictures up and the guy's got no information, or just a video real quick of the engine running or something like that, it doesn't tell you much. So you're calling the guy, you're asking a million questions, he doesn't know what's going on, doesn't really care to share that information, he just wants you to come look at the car. So the much information, whether or not that person's interested or not, it'll kind of weed out the amount of questions that you get. Like if you're on Marketplace, you realize if you ever sell something on there, the amount of people that kick tires on there. So if you can just be as transparent as possible on the advertisement, then you won't have to answer as many questions about it. So as many pictures as you can and as many good quality videos as you can. Okay, so the next thing would be pricing. What are you going to list your car for? So this can be all over the place. Now, Kelley Blue Book is pretty somewhat accurate if you have a kind of a run-of-the-mill basic car. Now, that doesn't always work if you have like a collector car or an old car. You want to use a site for reference like Bring a Trailer. They're a really good source for getting an idea of what sold that was like your car. So it'll give you some prices like currently in the market. These are some that's just sold. So that's a really good reference. The other thing would be to check on like Facebook Marketplace. I use that a lot because it's probably the most used like platform for selling things now, and you can kind of get a better idea. Like if you have one car and you're like, oh, okay, I want $6 grand for it, you go on there and there is like 10 of them that are the same mileage, better condition for $5,000. That's pretty much what the market is, you know, selling these cars at. So you can put yours up really high if you like, but you may sit on it for 6 months to a year or something like that. So if you are in a rush to sell it, you want to kind of keep it competitive where the market is. Now, the Kelley Blue Book could be low and say that it's $3 grand, but everybody's selling those things for 10 grand. Then you really want to be there. You don't want to put it up and then it sells, you know, an hour later because you just priced it too low. So do your research, not only like Kelley Blue Book, look what, if it's like a collection car, look on like Bring a Trailer and see what some of those sold for, write those prices down, look on Facebook Marketplace, see what those prices are, look on eBay, look on cars.com, like do your research and try to get a range of what that car is selling for. And then you may have to adjust that according to, you know, what's wrong with it or what you have done to it. Now, the biggest thing that people make the mistake of, they'll get like a car, and I'll just say like a Honda, for example. They'll put all this money into it. They'll put 15 grand worth of performance parts and all this kind of stuff. That does not add $15,000 of value to your car. Now, if it's a car that is worth a lot of money and you put that money into and you get it for cheap and now you can sell it for that, that makes sense. So you really have to know kind of what you're dealing with, because I know so many people being in the car game that, you know, have 30 grand of an engine build and the car is worth like 8 grand. You know what I mean? Like if you would go and sell it, if you sold everything individually, maybe a little different, but you'll never really get out what you put in when it comes to buying performance parts and stuff like that. So sometimes it does help, it does add value. You have nice wheels, nice suspension, it's tastefully done. You may get a little bit more on the top end of the value than on the lower end, but you really have to do the research and get kind of like comparable, you know, sales or what people have it listed for. Okay, so the next thing is, where do you post this ad for your car? Now, I mentioned a couple things before. One was Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is free as long as you have a Facebook account. I use it all the time, daily, and it's really good. I feel like that's where everything is right now. Like that's where everybody goes, is Facebook Marketplace. Another free one is Craigslist. So if you have something, you put it on Craigslist, 6 people will see it. Now, I don't know how many people still go on Craigslist. I mean, every once in a while I pop on there, but it's still another one that is free. So if it's free, just put your car on Facebook, put your car on Craigslist as well. Now, that's for more like an average daily type of car. Now, if you have something that is more on the collectible end, more on the high end, you could do Bring a Trailer, which I mentioned. They do take a percentage. All those auction sites do take a percentage, or may cost a certain amount to actually put it on their site. But there's something, you know, you have to read the fine print there. eBay, all those other ones, like if you have a car that's maybe, you know, 5 or 6 years old, you could do Auto Trader, Carvana, you know, Car Sense, or whatever it is now, Car Shop. Any of those will work too. Carfax even has a site. So you want to just get as much exposure as possible. Now, if you have something you're only going to make a couple grand on, maybe just throw it up on Marketplace, call it a day. But if you're trying to get top dollar out of like your Shelby Cobra or something, you may want to put that on Bring a Trailer, sit back and wait and get the most money out of it that you can. But for just selling a basic run-of-the-mill car, my first go-to would be like Facebook Marketplace, because that's pretty much where everything is. It's not like back in the day with Auto Trader, you submit pictures and write down a listing and send it out in the mail, but take your pictures on your phone, submit it on Facebook on your phone, and then just wait. There's so many people on there. I mean, I've had experiences with, I'll put like a part or something up on Facebook, and like instantly within an hour or two, someone comes and picks it up. Now, I'm sure it's probably the same if your car's priced correctly with selling it on there too. If you put it up and it's a good price, someone may get it, but don't think that, you know, it'll happen right away. The car that I'm selling has been up there for a couple days now, and I had a couple bites, but no one's come out to see it yet. So it's just like, it all depends on the market. If people are buying right now or they want that car, but it's only a matter of time before someone comes and takes a look at it. Okay, now that you have your car listed, you have someone coming to look at your car and they want to come for a test drive. So you have to keep in mind that people are going to lowball you. Sometimes they're going to aggressively lowball you through the little text, through the little messages on there, and you can tell them to walk, or you tell them what you want. You're going to get a lot of tire kickers, like I mentioned on Facebook Marketplace. You're going to get a million, is this available? And then one person will respond back. So you have to kind of know exactly what your bottom dollar is. And a lot of times when that person comes out, you kind of want to like establish where you're at. Like if he says that like, I'm going to give you $2 grand, you have it listed for 6, you may want to just tell him to keep walking. But if he says, hey, listen, I want to pay around $5,500 and you have it listed for 6, you say, well, okay, well, maybe we'll talk. And if they come out and they're serious, they test drive it, and then you guys can kind of negotiate from there. And then you'll know, okay, I don't want to go any lower than $5,300, right? But he's like, oh, I don't like it, you know, I'll give you 45 for it. Then again, take a walk. So know exactly where you want to be at your bottom dollar price, because people are going to lowball you, because especially on Marketplace, they think they can get everything for free. But just know exactly what you want out of it. And if it's not that guy, it'll be another guy. And if it's not him, it'll be another guy. So unless you are like desperate to sell it, then just take the lowball offer just to move it along, especially if it's just like you're just completely done with it. You don't want to deal with the people. It's not your thing to deal with all the messaging back and forth, which I get because it is a nuisance. I'm just so used to it at this point in my life that it's just kind of second nature. But you know, a lot of times for people, it's just too much, because you got a lot of rude ass people on Facebook that don't really care, don't have any respect. But there are a lot of really good people out there too that may come up and you may even make a friend out of it. So just know your bottom dollar price. Okay, so the last point is to transfer your title or do some sort of bill of sale at the end. You don't want to let this guy drive off with your car, with your license plate on the back and an open title in his hand. You want to make sure that's all taken care of. So after you negotiate your price, write up a bill of sale, make a copy. You can do it by hand if you want. Have them sign it, you sign it, and at that point you can go over to your local notary. So I'm in PA, so that's just one of those things you have to transfer the title into somebody else's name. Now if they're coming from out of state, so for example, someone comes over from Jersey or something that buys a car, all they need is a bill of sale and they just need the title signed on the back. In that case, that would be fine. Just make sure that you get a copy of their license and you get a bill of sale or address, all that information, and they have to transport the vehicle. Now, I wouldn't suggest letting them drive away on your tag, because now all the highways are like easy pass cameras, and if they run or you know, run a couple tolls or whatever, you're gonna have to pay for it. Or if they go and rob like a Wawa or something like that in your car with your plate, it's pretty much coming back to you. So you wanna make sure if they come and pick up the car, the trailer or whatever, take your plate, your registration, all that stuff out of the car. You really have to kind of be careful here because a lot of people will be like, oh, you know, I don't need any of that. I just need to sign the title. And a lot of times you can't drive around with an open title like that. If they're coming from another state, like I said, that would be the other type of scenario. But just call your local tag place or, you know, whatever your state deals with and just get some clarity on like the step-by-step process of selling your car. Okay, now that all of you are experts on selling your used car, you've waited this long and I'm gonna show you the car that I'm selling. I have it right outside here. So I'm gonna open the garage door and show you. Time to say goodbye. Okay, are you ready? Did you really think I was gonna get rid of one of my cool cars? Absolutely not. Just getting rid of this X5. I ended up picking up a newer 5 Series for like an everyday car. That thing's a little older. I had about 10 years and it runs great, but it just, you know, it's time to go. Like it's just sitting here now and I wanted something a little bit more newer and reliable to kind of run around and do all my errands and stuff like that. So I got this listed, I went through it, I did the whole step-by-step, everything that I just kind of showed you. So this thing will be out of here hopefully sooner than later. I'll show you my other car real quick. Okay, so here it is. It's just a newer 5 Series, nothing crazy, but it's time just to get something a little bit newer for myself. Take a peek inside real quick. Nice little sport package with the cognac interior. So that's pretty much the reason why I'm selling one of my cars. And yes, all the noise that you hear is the people behind me tearing down that house. They just got done filling the pool in. And yeah, the house is coming down. So that's why you hear all the racket. All right, so that's it for this video. So it is just a little bit of time to put your car for sale and a little bit of aggravation compared to trading your car in for a couple $100. You can make several thousand out of it and use that for your project car. So if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Thanks for watching.